Every single topic of today's video has been contributed by you. Hey everybody, it's me, Margaret, and everything in this video today did not come out of this head. It came from you. And the first thing I want to start with is something from Sandra Simqui, and I think I'm saying her name correctly. But she expressed to me her mother's frustration with the automated closed captioning. Her mother is either deaf or very hard of hearing, and so she needs those closed captionings. And my accent is not easily recognized. Plus, a lot of our words that are unique to our craft, like the Addy knitting machine, for example, usually throws it off, and you get something really weird. I am fully aware that I can't be all things to all people, but when I know I need to act on something, it's because I get these nagging, these little thoughts that won't leave my brain. And this seems to be something that I need to do. So I threw myself into researching what kind of software I could use, what kind of, any kind of translator, if there was something that was better than what I have. No, I can't find anything, at least nothing that I can afford. And sitting there and typing it all in is something that I don't have that much time to be able to do that. So several of the viewers and YouTube suggested YouTube's own feature where they open it up to the community. They open it up to the subscribers to be able to take a turn doing this. Now, at first I thought, oh, I can't ask my subscribers to do that. That's too much work. And then I started looking at it, and you can only do 1 or 2 lines and stop if you want to, which is kind of cool. It's also a wonderful volunteer thing that you can put on your resume, and I do hope everybody is putting their volunteer work on their resume, because even though you might not be gaining monetary compensation for what you're doing, you are gaining very valuable experience. For example, all the times that I have run organizations and with different things, I've got a lot of people managing skills and even event planning skills that are actually marketable. So always be sure to put your volunteer work on your resume. But anyway, I digress. There are easy instructions to follow. It's not difficult. Actually, I could walk you through it very quickly. Now, first let me say, one of my main concerns with being able to open this up to anyone is I'm concerned about mean people putting in ugly words or something that I didn't say or something like that. But it seems that YouTube has safeguards for that. So everything that gets entered does not get published right away, and it gives me a chance to review. Also, other people that may be working on this same video have an opportunity to see it as well and make corrections. So we got each other's back, right? Now, a quick overview for how this works is you basically go pick out a video, click on that little gear icon, and you click Add Subtitles or CC. Select language, English, and you can put other languages in there as well, and I could check some of that, spot check it with Google Translate. But anyway, you'll see that it'll pop up like this already most of the time. Sometimes you have to start from scratch. I've got these mitten scarves. Now, obviously, I said mitten scarves, but look what it printed. So basically, you would just correct that. And then when you feel like you've had enough for the day, you hit Submit Contribution. And then you'll get this little pop-up box here that is wonderful. It says, are the subtitles done? Well, you only had 2 seconds to work on it today, so you say, no, let others keep working on them. Or, yes, they're ready to be reviewed. And then it tells you that they need to be reviewed before they can be published, which is what I explained a minute ago. Now, you do need to be a subscriber in order to take part in this activity. So very quickly, you can either search for my name or Sheepishly Sharing in the YouTube search box, and it'll pull up my channel, and you'll see the little red box. If you are not subscribed, it will be red. If you are subscribed, it will be gray, and you just click that there. If you want a notification for every time I upload a new video, then you click that little bell on the side, and then that will give you notifications every time something fresh goes up. Something that I love that YouTube does with this program is that it puts puts your name as a contributor. Well, you have the option to say if you want your name to appear as a contributor. After you do so much, I don't remember the particulars on it, but I'll link all that below. But that's great, because you know the number one thing I love about doing these videos is the community. I started making videos to find friends who understood my love for the hobbies and things that I love too. So anyway, the community is important to me, and I love the fact that our names will be together in the description box down there, which is kind of neat. And while I'm linking that, I'm going to link all the how-to sites or videos that I find to kind of let you look through it, get an overview, make sure you feel comfortable before you decide you want to give this a go. If this is a volunteer activity that you want to do on a regular basis, you will get an email that each week that shows what you have contributed to and whatever. So you don't have to do this just for my videos either. When you go to click that little gear icon, if it is available, if the YouTube creator has turned on that feature, then you'll be able to help those people as well. If they have not, then it won't be available. So it's pretty easy to figure out. Most of my videos, to me, are a bunch of jibber jabber as I show and tell or whatever, but I think my tutorials have more value, so that kind of is a priority for me. I've already done a lot of them myself, so there are more to do though, but I don't know. If you're interested, I'm really looking for partners on that, and I would appreciate some input. So dive in and see if any of that appeals to you. I just finished a giveaway of dryer balls, wool dryer balls, and sock yarn from Knit Crate. And I asked for people to put tips down in there, either sock knitting tips or laundry tips, since those were the objects that were being given. And I got lots of wonderful comments. I'm looking at my colluder here. That's what Thomas used to call it when he was little. For sock knitting, we got lots of tips about knitting 2 at a time to avoid second sock syndrome and making sure they're the same length and all that kind of stuff. We have lots of tips for laundry regarding using vinegar and baking soda and etc. to help control static. Now, I will say that I have not had great luck with those. They may have curbed the static problem a little bit, but it did not eradicate the static problem. At least that's not my experience. But that doesn't mean that it wouldn't work for you. I have a different laundry machine than you do, and I have different water, using different detergents. You just never know what variables are going to add to that, not to mention the environment, whether it's humid or dry. So try this, adding vinegar and baking soda. Read the tips down there, it tells you how to do it. I also got lots of tips about putting essential oil on the dryer balls themselves, and it emits a nice fragrance that is not chemically, that kind of gives you that fresh laundry smell. And I did talk about that in my first laundry ball video, my first wool dryer ball video. But like I always tell you, I learned so much more from you people than I could ever give back. And every time I do this, leave me a tip, I learn something new. And in this case, I learned about a craft. I'm about to say a brand new craft. No. It's a very old craft, but I didn't know about it. Catherine, hi. Is that how you say your name? Hey, hi. I don't know. I see it all the time. I know exactly who you are. She says, thanks for the video, Margaret. I don't have any sock knitting tips per se, as I use nail binding. And I've also seen it spelled nail binding, which could be a typo, or I don't know. But it's Viking knitting. And that's how she does her socks. With nail binding, I use stitch markers to keep track of progress, and the socks are made to measure. Literally, there's no pattern of particular stitches, it goes by measurement. I make these for Viking reenactment groups. It's challenging and fun, so I had to look that up. And here's what it was. Now here's a simple tip Marsha Bryan shared with us. She said, I attach a small mesh bag to the side of my hamper for my handmade socks. This way I always make sure they go in the bag and not accidentally into the washer. That is perfect. Number one, if you want to hand wash your socks, they're all together. You could do it in that little laundry bag, that little lingerie bag that she's talking about. I'm guessing it's a mesh bag. You could just hand wash them like that, all in one time. Or you could toss that in the washer, which is what I do. I wash mine in the washer, but I do not dry them. So what do I have to do? Dig all around in there, make sure I've got one of each one so I haven't accidentally put it into the dryer. So I love this tip, Marcia. It seems simple, but it's very valuable. Now, Shani Cooper, or is it Shani? I'm not sure. Starting sock knitting is best by making baby socks. You learn the sock parts, you knit fast, and you can practice color changes. Not booties, but socks. Put several pairs up as Christmas decor and you're building your skills. They make the best shower gifts, and you could make 3 pair from a small sock yarn ball. I love that. Thank you, Shani. Now, Chi Sweets, who is a longtime subscriber, had this interesting washing technique, and I actually think it's pretty clever. She says, I wash knitted preemie hats for charity in Ziploc bags with hot water and Dawn dishwashing soap. Shake it vigorously and repeat with rinse water. So what she is essentially doing is creating her own little hand wash washing machine, which I think is pretty clever. Pat gently on a towel to remove most of the water, and then run through the dryer. Now, of course, you would run through the dryer if it is not, you know, wool. Be careful with your natural fibers, but it is fantastic when you have acrylic. Acrylic in the washer and the dryer actually do wonders as far as softening those stiff plastic fibers. So that's great one, Chi-Chi. And another thing about creating this own little personal washer in your Ziploc bag is that you're protecting your hats. They're not going to get caught on anything if you throw them in the washer with other clothes. You know, think about that button on jeans or a zipper or something like that. They're protected if you have them separate, right? So I thought that was a clever idea. And this next one comes from Satu. She says, I always keep a project bag with socks in it in my car. If I have to wait in the parking lot, I can knit socks. Now, this is a brilliant suggestion. Yes, a lot of us take our projects with us, but the problem is remembering to grab them on your way out the door. Now, there was a time when my kids were younger when I was always in the car and I was always waiting for somebody to be finished with this activity or that activity or what have you. And it really would have come in handy, but I didn't knit or crochet back then, so I had to do other things. However, now it would be a super idea for me to do that, because there's been plenty of times when I go thinking it's going to be a quick trip and turns out I do have to wait or whatever. You could just say, okay, I'll go out to my car and get my knitting and bring it back. But if it always stays in the car until the project is finished, of course, then you know you are never going to be without your yarn and you'll always be being productive. So thank you, Satu. That was great. Now this is from Maha's Magic, or is it Maja's Magic? And have I ever asked you that before? Because your name comes up so often and I can't remember what the pronunciation is. This was a comment not on the giveaway, but it's in relation to another question that came up where someone was having difficulty with their gauge loosening as they continued to knit on a project. And my first thought was that you're relaxing, but I asked for people's opinions on that. What else could make your gauge loosen as you knit? And she says, if your knitting or crochet gets loose after an amount of rows or rounds, then yes, you can be relaxing into it, but it can also be a sign of you not having the right posture and you're starting to get carpal tunnel or strain in general. This can only be in the arms and hands or from your back. Very interesting. And I believe that, as a matter of fact. My aunt had some back problem for a really long time, and it turned out it was up in her neck. Turned out what was causing it was down in her hip. So you see how we're sitting, you know, could definitely affect what's happening in our hands. So this comes from Jana of Jana's Favorite Things. Sock knitting tip. I use a fine gauge loom to knit most of my socks because having little hands around most of the time that like to help Nana means the needles can easily be pulled out and precious work can be lost in an instant. With a knitting loom, little hands can grab the loom and run, but it's nearly impossible for the stitches to get pulled out. So if you have a helper, try a loom. I love that, Jana. And it's a good tip. And this comes from Valerie Bishop. She says, hey Margaret, I love to do 2 inches of 1x2 ribbing on the arch of the foot of my sock. It pulls into the arch a bit more and fits a bit better. And she says, if you don't mind doing the ribbing, because a lot of people don't like it. She said, I was taught to do this at a class at my local yarn shop by Barbara. This makes so much sense. I own plenty of store-bought socks that have that ribbed arch, and it feels really good. It almost feels like it's supporting your arch, although I'm not so sure how much support you can get from that, but it does make for a snug fit. I've never thought about adding that to my own knitted socks, so thank you, Valerie. All right, another thing about the gauge loosening comes from Missy Como, and she says it could also be the weight of the sweater itself pulling as you knit and interfering with your gauge. You may want to adjust how you hold the sweater to put most of the weight on your lap and as little weight as possible on the needles. Easier done with circulars. Just a thought. It could be just as Margaret said, to relax or loosen up or whatever. Okay, but the point is, that's something I didn't think about. If you're well on into the project and you have more weight hanging off, of course, it's pulling on your needles. That's a very good observation, Missy. Another option would be to put it on a table, to work at a table if that's comfortable for you. Here's a non-hobby tip that was shared by Cajun Queen Lounsbury, and she suggests that you buy greens on sale and then freeze them for your smoothies. I never knew that you could just freeze greens like that. I thought they would turn brown and be yucky. No, I tried it and it works fantastic. So when I put spinach or kale or something like that in all my smoothies because you can't taste it. Now it looks kind of yucky, but it takes on the flavor of whatever else you've got in there. In my case, usually berries. So wow, what a great money-saving tip that is, and I thank you, Cajun Queen, because I have implemented that already. My son, who's fixing to leave and go back to California, he's loved that tip too, because we always have trouble with the greens not lasting long as we would like them to. Okay, now this next one comes from Maureen of True North Knitting. Now Maureen's been a long time subscriber and she shared this good little tidbit with me. She has discovered a new subscription box for crochet. It's called A Hook and a Book. If you are a reader and a crocheter, you are going to love this. Basically, she will choose a book and then find a pattern that somehow is reflected in the theme of the book in some form or fashion. And then you've got the pattern and all the supplies, the hook and the book and everything that you need. It's an absolutely adorable idea. Now, I have never seen these, so I can't attest to what it's like when you actually receive it. But it looks great on the website. Heads up though that she is in the UK, and because she is a small business owner, you're not going to get the breaks on shipping as you would for, say, Knit Crate. Knit Crate has all international shipping and everything is included. But then again, this is a different product. But this is such a cute little idea that I would encourage you to check it out and see if it's something that you'd be interested in. And the best news of all is that Maureen is going to be featured in one of the subscription boxes. What did she use? She's pairing it with a book called Hurt Go Happy, and it's her sock monkey mitten pattern, which is so precious. We have a celebrity now. Good job, Maureen. Speaking of celebrities, look at our own Marcia McGuire from back in the day. Once upon a time, I was using this shampoo hoping I could wash some glamour into my life like the girl in the advertisement. And who knew I'd be YouTube buddies with her many years later. Now, it's been a while since I showed you what I was working on, and I do have some finished projects that have happened over the course of December, I guess, for the most part. And the first thing are these socks. This is the Pebbles sock pattern. I'll put a link in the description box below. This yarn is Felici, and it was given to me by Erin. Give me yarn 418. And I love the pattern. It's very simple, and I love the yarn. It's this wonderful yarn. Now, no, I didn't make everything match. I have a horrible time with that. See how my heels are different? And I had to rework the heel on this one like 4 times, no lie, at least 4 times. It could have been more than that, because I kept messing up. But anyway, they turned out in the end very well, and that's all that matters, right? So, new socks for me. And speaking of socks, my oldest said, "Do you only make socks for yourself?" And I said, "Well, no, nobody else has shown any interest in having me make them any socks." And he said, "I don't recall being asked." So I am making him some socks. The yarn is a cloud board yarn. I got this on sale on Craftsy a while back and just really like this stuff. Note that it's made with 80% superwash fine Highland wool and 20% polyamide and not nylon. Upon researching, I found that polyamide is a form of nylon with a two-way stretch and is pill resistant. As a matter of fact, another site said it had the highest abrasion resistance of any textile raw materials, even when wet. Now this is not a pattern. All I'm doing is a ribbed top, and I will rib the leg. But what I'm trying here is a sweet tomato heel. Not only has it been recommended to me over and over again by my subscribers, but also I ran across it when I was doing all my researching, and I thought, well, let me give it a go. Let me see what I think about it. And I will have to say it is a very nice heel. It's done instead of, you have no seam on the side. I don't know how to describe it. It's just I don't know. When I get it done, I'll show it to you better. But it's very simple to do in 3 types of wedges. I do like it, but I have messed up, and now I've got to rip out again. This is the second time I've done the heel. Yes, that's a problem with me, isn't it? But you see that mistake? I don't know what happened right there. And of course, that's not acceptable, so I'm going to have to rip back and do that. So the truth is, I don't mind ripping back all that much. I'm not on a deadline or anything, and it's the knitting process that I love, so I try to remind myself of that when I get frustrated with my mistakes and have to rip something out. But this did not have any mistakes, and this is the spiked mesh stitch hat. I've done a tutorial for this. I would consider this an intermediate project, but it's one that is fantastic to use your scraps for. You don't need all that much to complete a row if you just do a little bit down here at the bottom. And speaking of scraps, I had some open skeins of this yarn, and I do not know what it was. It's big box store yarn. It's 100% acrylic. It's a baby yarn, and this is one of the little simple baby hats that I do, and I do have a tutorial for this. They're just simple gathered tops. I do a few decreases, and then I gather the top, and it's a nice little hat. So basically 2x2 ribbing, and you just knit straight up. And then with the same yarn, I did a little crochet hat version, and this camel stitch right here, I think I've got a, don't I have a tutorial on this? But look at the difference between the knitting and the crochet, how the yarn works up. Interesting, huh? And then last but not least, we have this mystery project. I was a test crocheter for Claire Bob Wilson 123, and this is a project that she is soon to be releasing. And so once she does, we'll talk about this. One of the hallmarks of my channel is to talk about how to pinch a penny. I love saving money. It's almost like a, I don't know, a hobby in itself. So today's treasure chest is about that. Now, this is nothing new. It's about Ebates, and the reason I'm bringing it up again is because look what I made in January. Now, that's more than pinching pennies, and essentially it's just from doing all my Christmas shopping online. Basically, if you buy from a place that is partnered with Ebates, you get a certain percentage back, and that percentage can vary. It might be that they're they'll give you an alert that says, oh look, 6% back at Walmart, or oh look, 7% at Bloomingdale's, or whatever the store happens to be. And it's wonderful to just be able to click and make your purchase as usual, and then Ebates is aware and they send you a portion of what you spent back to, in my case, my PayPal account, but they will send it to you in a check. They call it a big fat check. So if you haven't jumped on the Ebates bandwagon, look at the link in the description box, because not only will I get a little cut from that, but you will too. So here's how it works. You click on that link and then you shop through Ebates, and then we both get our bonuses when you spend your first $25. Now, even if you don't want to click on my link, that's fine. There are other people who are also doing Ebates, but the key thing is click on a link, and that way you will be earning these bonuses. And regardless, it's free money. You're going to be doing online shopping anyway, and now they even have a feature that allows you to use these benefits while you are in the store. You just use the app. It's free money. It's kind of like coupons of the 21st century. It's free money. And be sure to get the little add-on that goes on your browser, because I never could remember to use it before I had that little thing. Now, because I have the browser add-on, when I visit a site that has Ebates, it'll just pop up to remind me, and it says activate it now, click, or you could activate it later if you're just price checking or window shopping or something like that. But that was no small potatoes. And that is another tip. If ever you're shopping online, always search for coupons for an item before you buy it, to get something off of that purchase, maybe free shipping or something like that. I just put it right in the Google search bar and say, coupons at whatever the store happens to be, and then you'll get a whole bunch of choices that you can click on to take you to see if they have any active. Another little thing is you can put this thing called Honey in your browser, and it will kind of search those coupon codes for you, which is pretty handy dandy. And even if you don't see anything that pops up, and you know about a product that you might like to try. For instance, there's some very expensive shoes. They're flats. I can't remember the name of them right now, but my daughter introduced me to them, and they're like $100. And I was thinking, I don't know, but the benefits that they claim, I'd really like to try them out. And she suggested, well, if you're going to do that, go first and see if you can find somebody who has reviewed them and has any kind of discount code in their description box. So always look for somebody else's discount code. Sure, they might be getting a cut off of it, but you will too. And if you're a penny pincher, then I'm going to throw out this shameless plug for my daughter, whose channel, called This or That, is full of product reviews to help you make wise decisions before you part with your money. Link in the description box. Alright, so I'm through talking about penny pinching, and I think I'm actually through talking today. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.